Hey, and welcome to the Vergecast for the week of January 27th, 2014. I'm Josh Topolsky.
I'm Nilay Patel.
I'm Dieter Bohn.
And yes, that's right. You've entered the Bone Zone.
Yeah. We've sold Ross Miller to Lenovo.
Ross Miller has been sold to Lenovo for far less than what we paid for him. And but you know what? He's in a better place.
Yeah.
Lenovo. A Lenovo factory. No, Dieter's here, and this is, of course, the Vergecast where we discuss the week in all sorts of funky, exciting topics. This week, plenty to talk about.
So much fun.
Nazis. Google Nazis. Google Nazis. Google Nazis.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you'll find.
Out of control maniac CEOs.
Out of control CEOs. In control CEOs.
Yeah. Cool collected CEOs.
Yeah, cool collected CEOs. What else? What are the other topics we have? What are some other things
Facebook did a thing.
Facebook.
Nintendo did a thing.
Nintendo.
I want to start with the biggest news of the week, which is
robots.
ABC is commissioned a show called Selfie.
ABC has commissioned a show called Selfie, which will feature. I don't know anything about the show. Can you tell us about it?
I just literally closed. I mean, like,
is it a show based on Instagram?
My immediate instinct to close that tab kicked in. Hold on.
It's a show based on the experiences of Instagram users.
Hold on.
I'm making that up. I have no idea what it's about.
Website here.
I'm sorry. I just need to have a drink. I'm very thirsty.
Who have faster internet than I do.
Yeah, exactly.
We have a little bit of a problem here by the way, I hope everybody could hear that.
The comedy inspired by My Fair Lady tells the story of a self-obsessed 20-something woman who is more concerned with likes than being liked.
I'm sorry, did you say My Fair Lady?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
After suffering a very public and humiliating breakup, she becomes the subject of a viral video and suddenly has more social media followers than she ever imagined, but for all the wrong reasons.
Classic.
She enlists the help of a marketing expert at her company to help repair her tarnished image. This is the worst.
That is some convoluted. That is some extremely contrived shit that I just heard.
That show immediately goes from that concept, whatever that is, to like three attractive people who are constantly stay in one apartment set telling each other jokes about what happened outside of the
You mean
apartment.
Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23?
Exactly. Yeah.
One of my favorite shows.
Happy Endings.
R.I.P.
Don't Trust the Bee is a really good show.
No, it's not. You're crazy. I watched.
And here's why. There's only one reason. The startling return of to form of James Van Der Beek.
Now he's on a new show.
I know.
With E from Entourage.
That show, yeah.
He's on a show with E from Entourage.
Nobody needs the Beak and E. But the Beak is back.
You know what? I have no comment. I have no comment on that. But what I do have comment on is I watched an episode of Two Broke Girls the other day.
Why?
Like, did you hate watch it?
I mean, well, it was like kind of by accident. I've never seen a whole episode. I've seen like a minute of it.
Yeah.
Like holy shit! Holy shit! Is that show like it's crazy bad?
Like, I want to know what this accident was.
It's
like,
badly.
Did your remote
it was like
explode?
no. It was like I was watching TV. And
I can't go over there.
I was watching TV. It wasn't an accident. It was like I was watching TV. I was flipping, and then I landed there, and I was like, oh, you know what? I've never really watched an episode of this.
Yeah.
And then I left it on while I was like doing other stuff, and it was so bad. So first off, it's badly acted. It's badly written. It's super duper racist. Like crazy.
Really?
Like every character is some like racist character. Like there's like a little Asian guy who's got like a funny accent. And then there's like some woman who has like some weird Eastern European accent. And then there's like a Middle Eastern cook and he's crazy. And there's like, it's just super racist. Like everybody's this weird caricature and horrible, just horrible, mean, not funny.
There's definitely an article in The Guardian that's called Two Broke Girls, So Racist, It's Baffling.
You know, it is baffling. It's like a show from the early 80s sitcoms where, I mean, literally like every character is just an insane cartoon version.
It only made 50 on Complex's list of the 50 most racist TV shows.
It's also the most popular show in America, like second most popular show in America or something. It's like the third most popular sitcom in America. Anyhow, unrelated to everything we're talking about, but we're talking about Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment. I mean, Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23 is probably like high art by comparison.
It's got the beak, man. You can't.
Anyhow, so let's talk about what's going on in the world. There's huge news in the world of technology. We have a lot of things to talk about.
I don't even know where to start, but I think we should start at the obvious, which is
Google.
Yesterday,
Google sold Motorola to Lenovo.
They're trying to.
Well, how much are they selling?
2.91
2.9 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they bought Motorola for 12.5 billion.
Right.
And this is like immediately, now that I've said those two numbers,
We're gonna argue about math for the rest of the
fanboys
hour.
will begin tweeting at me various versions of where,
Listen, I'm sure
where
that
somehow that means they made a profit.
I'm sure there's a completely fine way to justify.
There's zero way to justify.
And I'm sure you can say like, well, the patents will in the long run be X, Y, and Z.
We can get into it. But
We're going to get into it, but I think there's no. I don't think there's a possibility that what Google wanted to do was own Motorola for how many months?
21.
Was own Motorola for 21 months and then sell them off immediately.
Yeah.
I don't think that was the plan. Like,
That's not the plan.
You may be able to define or to extract some sort of victory from this if you like have a really creative way of thinking.
Yeah.
But there's no possibility that they bought them and they were like, you know what we're going to do in like a year and a half? We're going to sell these guys off to Lenovo.
Yeah.
Because that'll look really good for us. It'll look like we totally know what we're doing.
And they moved Dennis Woodside, who was like a high-ranking exec, to be the CEO of Motorola.
Yeah.
He was allowed to recruit openly at Google. He brought over a lot of like really smart people. He brought Regina Dugan, who was on the Verge 50. She used to be the head of DARPA.
Yeah.
He brought her he took her out of Google, brought her to Motorola to be like, just be smart here and like help us make cool things. She did that Project Ara,
Which
the
is
modular
which
phone.
they're apparently keeping at
So,
Google.
and it's crazy that Google's like, well, that didn't work, but that's cool. Like, you come back here and work for us again. And she's taking her whole team back to Google.
Yeah.
Like, this was a plan. Like, they built a factory to manufacture phones in the United States. Like, they were trying to succeed as Motorola.
They were doing
And
everything right except for cell phones.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
and that's all. This is so awesome looking, by the way. Like, yeah, I do want.
Well,
the
I mean,
Ara.
it's so. I feel really bad for Pierce because yesterday, because they launched the wood phones yesterday. You can start buying them now.
Yeah.
And this one is not so great. But I think we were just
they had
talking
them for
about
a little while. We
the
just-
bamboo
yeah.
plus white combination. Josh was just saying the plastic is like the wrong.
It just feels extra
Yeah.
plasticky by comparison.
to the awesome wood. But like
Yeah.
they just launched this and David had a cool little story with like great photos of like how Motorola is making wood phones, and then like that happened.
I mean, it's actually-
and then this
like-
morning he put up a Lenovo review, and I was like, oh, Pierce.
I mean, it's actually
over to you, buddy.
It's actually really cool. Like the wood thing is a great. You know, it's something really different that nobody's trying to do. I think it's interesting, but
Yeah.
the Moto X has been a failure. I mean, I don't think there's any other way to look at it. It sold the last numbers we saw was something like 500,000.
Yeah,
Right.
which is
mean,
garbage. I mean,
what was
do you-
the
how many
Apple's
iPhones? Yeah, how many iPhones do they sell in a quarter?
What was it?
Yeah.
What was the last-
51 million?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
listen, I mean, I don't expect Motorola to sell 51 million, but a couple of million.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
And they didn't
500,000
need to
is...
send. They didn't even need to sell that many for it to be a success. Right?
It's got no... Listen, the phones that are... Look, I mean, Samsung is selling Android phones, at least in America.
Right.
When I see people... Here's the two... I do see occasionally people with Motorola Droid devices.
Yeah.
I've seen a handful of those. I think
it's always the Droid Max.
I think
You know,
Verizon... Yeah.
and it's the one differentiating feature I think we all like. It has a
I-
gigantic battery.
I see the Droid Mini on the subway sometimes.
I've seen it. I've seen it.
I
I've
always see
seen
that. It's maybe it's like, you know, when you like want something, you see it everywhere.
Yeah.
So I see
But that's-
Notes everywhere, and
Right.
I see Droid Max everywhere.
that's
That's
like-
what you want. Is
I want a
Droid
giant
Max?
screen with a
I
huge
get it.
battery.
I get it. I mean, I think that I think that you see droids. That's sheer force of Verizon marketing.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen a Moto X in public. I don't
Yeah.
think I've ever seen a random person with a Moto X.
Yeah, it's
they
just- it's
advertise
just the
it.
Verge
They've
stuff.
advertised it everywhere aggressively. It clearly has not had much of an impact.
Well, you know,
what's
so,
so
you know,
weird is
I-
like
you know what
actually
the missing opportunity of this was? It's great that you can go online, like build one and customize it, but they actually needed to shade more towards that Project Era stuff.
Yeah.
Where you could have bought like the frame and like put different backs on it.
Yeah.
But this is
And,
don't
like,
you
that's
feel
what
like
the
That's
buttons.
exactly what they did with the Moto G.
But don't you feel like
Yeah.
this was the
Yeah.
start? But regular consumers clearly like. I mean, I
Well,
wonder.
but,
Like, I actually wonder
but
if
cases are like the biggest sellers. Like
No, but
the number
cases
one
are-
accessory for your phone is a case, right?
the cases are big sellers, but it doesn't seem like colored phones are making much of a dent. That's what's interesting.
But I think the reason cases are really popular is because you can get rid of it and your phone's still there. So if
Right.
you made it,
Right.
if you somehow integrated the phone with like it has a built-in
With a
case, you can
case,
like
yeah.
change it, like make it different and customize it. Like you're tired of an orange phone today, now you have a blue one.
I think
Like,
I think that's a good point. I think if it was an interchangeable like backing, that's actually one of the cool things about the S4 is that
Right.
you can. The back is essentially like the entirety of the back of the phone.
Right.
Once it meets the band, so it's just like the whole.
right.
You can
and you were
just swap
saying
it
that
out.
the Moto G they got there.
Yeah.
Like-
Yeah.
the whole, and even the rim.
But
it
that
all
the
pops
Moto G
off.
is like nasty.
Is this the Moto G here
it's
that we're looking at?
This is the
No,
oh,
in the video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is G.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you got to allow that. Yeah. But here's the thing. This is not, none of this is making an impact because they don't have the marketing budget.
Right.
I mean, even with all the marketing they did, I mean, first off, the marketing wasn't that good. Well, it was like, hey, it was like, we make a phone that you can get in different colors. That was the entirety of the marketing.
They were exclusive to AT&T for a while, right? When was the last time AT&T got a phone as an exclusive and it went gangbusters? Like whenever a phone goes, it's
Galaxy
like
was the Galaxy S4 on AT&T?
No, the iPhone. Everything
S4
since the iPhone.
No. But when
AT&T
the
gets
S4
it,
first came out, I
it's
think it was
dead.
only available on
on all of them.
Was it?
It's always the S3 and
That's
the
the
S4
way you got to
have
do
been
it.
always.
That's the way you have to do it. But
They might have been like mildly staggered.
But this is like,
they announced all at the same time.
This is like, here's the problem. The differentiating factor is you can customize, which I think is really cool. But I think, smaller screen, battery is like, okay, not the greatest. Slower resolution display, not a great display. Camera is Like, it's a mid-range phone. I think a very good mid-range phone.
Yeah.
I think an
And they
excellent
sold for
choice.
cheap. Yeah.
Like, still an excellent choice as a smartphone if you're a buyer looking for a phone of this size. But
I mean,
just-
I'm gonna
just
buy
didn't-
like now. It's maybe this is just like
You wanna
sadness and
you wanna
nostalgia.
buy the-
I'm gonna buy I'm gonna buy the one I wanted to
The
buy.
second
And I'll
last
actually
American
say-
phone you
Yeah.
could buy.
And
'Cause
I-
now after this, the only American phone is the iPhone.
yeah, I mean, you guys quoted this in your piece, and the thing I said about it, their software stuff was actually really good and innovative. Like really, I think really improved the experience. I don't know that it was ever.
Well, so Ben and I pulled apart the timeline, right? Like, Google bought Motorola, and I have now been told this. Now that the smartphone patent wars are over, and it's kind of like it's at a low boil, and Apple and Samsung are just going to sue each other on the side of the world for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to happen.
It is what's happening.
But it's like it's in terms of all of the big stuff that needed to shake out has shaken out. I've been told this over and over again, which is that Google bought Motorola to try to block the iPhone from. They wanted to stop iPhone sales in any way they could.
How?
And
Why?
because at that time, Motorola had 24,000 patents, but most of those patents were on like radio technologies, right? They were on things like Wi-Fi and GSM and MPEG-4 and like standards, right? That's Motorola was big in developing standards. And they're an old company, they've innovative company, and so it was unclear. Like the public policy was not shaken out whether if you contribute to the Wi-Fi standard and someone builds a phone with Wi-Fi, can you block their product from the market? And the answer at every court in the world, every court in the United States had heard it was no, you can't. Because if by contributing to the standard and saying use our stuff, you've already said you can use our stuff. And all you're going to argue at now is money. And if all you're going to argue about is money, you can't keep the products off the market because that reduces competition. That was the answer. It was the answer in Europe. It was the answer at the United States. In court, it was the answer in the International Trade Commission in the United States.
Right.
And so Google, that answer wasn't shaken out. So Google made a $12 billion bet on let's try to block the iPhone. And when Apple can't sell the iPhone because we have the essential patents on Wi-Fi and GSM, they will have to negotiate an Android license with us. And if they had won that bet, this would have been brilliant. Like just flat out brilliant.
I mean, was it worth? I mean, do you honestly believe they made a $12.5 billion bet on that one thing?
I do.
There had to have been
No, I've been told like it. At this point, the number of people and the type of people who have basically said they were trying to block the iPhone, like that's what they were trying to do.
Sergey Brin told
It
you.
wasn't. It was some people like that. So that's what they tried to do, and they lost. And whatever and the patents, like they're going to keep. Motorola has 24,000 patents and patent applications. Google's going to keep most of them. 10,000 of them, I think, are going to Lenovo because they're about manufacturing, so who cares?
Right.
But the patents are worthless.
Right.
Like, they ended up being worthless. And so you can say when Google bought Motorola, they valued the patents at $5 billion. So they bought it for $12.5 billion. We can round up. Oh, fine. They valued it at 5.5. We'll round up. The patent's worth $6 billion. So they have $6 billion of value left. They sold the K-Walks business for $2 billion. And they sold the phone business for $3 billion.
Right.
So there's still just, okay, fine. You lost $1 billion.
Which is nothing to Google.
Plus, you lost another couple $1 billion in operating costs over the past few years.
But
you have a failing business.
But I mean,
what you
when
really
you
have,
paint that picture, it doesn't sound that bad.
But the value of the patents is just, it's nothing, right? It's paper. It's like, it's the value of paper.
Well, they were valuable enough to cross-license with Samsung.
Yeah,
unless there's a patent,
we should get that.
Unless
There's
patents there that we've somehow have like overlooked the value.
So the value of a patent, and this is like this is why this deal blew up in Google's face. The value of a patent is not the technology that it describes, right? because obviously Samsung can just like make the technology and Apple can sue them, be like,
Right.
you violated, like whatever. The value of the patent is how much you can get from other people for it, right? Because all the patent is a monopoly on the ability to make, use, and sell something.
Right.
Okay, so I have a patent on this phone, you can't sell it.
What?
If you want to sell this phone, you got to pay me, right?
Okay. This doesn't sound like a good deal
Or I
for
can
me.
keep you from selling it, and then I can get all the money from everybody else.
Right.
Well, Google has no ability to get money from people for those patents.
Right.
Right.
No,
They
that-
have
that's the
and
weird thing is-
even
is-
in the
is-
cases where Motorola tried to do it, they sued Microsoft. They're going to block the Xbox 360.
Right.
If you want to sell them, you got to license our MPEG patents for them. We want $4 billion. The court was like, no, you can have 1.7 million.
What's weird about it is
million.
What's
Million,
What's
yeah.
weird about it is, it just feels like Google. I mean, they didn't even really try to utilize the patent. I mean, there was a
Google
couple.
has been running
there
around
are a
saying
couple,
we're never going to sue people.
Right,
We're only using
and they
defensively.
kind of trap themselves. Where
Yeah.
I get that they had the opportunity to do it and maybe to be more aggressive with it, but then you see like the court cases are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the court cases are Apple and Samsung, and Samsung is, we can say Samsung's a proxy, but the court case is not against
Right,
Google, and Samsung can't defend itself with Google's patents. Well,
They kind of tried. Remember, Google signed over some to HTC that they licensed
Yeah.
like $1.
Yeah, yeah.
But HTC and Apple settled.
Right.
Nokia and Apple settled. You remember
Right.
they were suing each other for a minute too.
And
They
the,
settled.
and the funny thing is that the game is not about, like, consumers see it as, I think Android fans are looking at it going like, this is about the stuff they made, and like this, like, I think that people who bought into the possibility of Motorola and Google creating some really awesome stuff together are like, this was supposed to be about that, like what happened. And I think that it's so much not about the products anymore.
Yeah.
That the whole game right now of tablets and smartphones and like the devices we use every day isn't about, there's really just no players. There's
Right.
two players. There's Samsung and there's Apple, and everybody else is kind of just like pecking around for a couple of people here and there. Like, how many Nexus phones do you think they're selling? I'll bet it's fewer than the Moto X sells, because they advertise them far less, and they are ultimately more expensive when you buy them at a store. If you were going to buy them just like at face value, right? If you walked into a store versus going online. So, the whole thing is like, what does Google do here? In the sense of, Apple sold a lot of phones. They make a lot of money selling phones. They might not have sold as many phones as the street said they were going to, but they did very, very big
they
numbers.
did a good job.
Right?
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody at Apple's too bummed about, the 5C apparently was a bit of a miss.
No, we're
5S.
gonna get into the earnings.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we will talk about it, but I'm just saying, like, so who competes there? Google doesn't compete on hardware.
In order for Google to have like made the Moto X or a Motorola phone a success, it would have to compete on the same playing field that Samsung is competing on, and that's marketing. And that is a ton of marketing money. And had they done that, that would have screwed up the relationship with all of their OEMs.
Right.
I mean, they are literally. I saw somebody tweet this. They're like old Microsoft, and it really is. They have now put themselves, in terms of this stuff, in a position that Microsoft was in not that long ago.
Yeah.
And as we can see with Microsoft, it has been a total clusterfuck trying to figure out how you make a product that competes directly with your partners.
I mean, if I
Well,
worked for
that's
Nokia right
coming
now,
from
I'd be
Nokia.
like, well,
Yeah.
we're screwed. Like,
Yeah.
it has never been done. Like, Palm split itself into Palm One and Palm Source.
Oh, God.
Then they bought Handspring and they
Don't.
combined
Just
again. Like,
stop.
that was a huge
Well,
fail.
the only way it
Apple
worked-
tried to license macOS to the clone maker.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs came back and was like, "This
Yeah.
is stupid."
I mean, the only way
you're
it works
going
is if for Microsoft is if no one else makes Windows phones.
Yeah.
And
How far away are we from
Microsoft proper doesn't make Windows phones.
Right.
That Nokia is literally the only maker of Windows phones
I mean, I
as a
think-
subsidiary of Microsoft, and they either collaborate on things like tablets. I mean, but at some point you start to go like, okay, but your tablets are PCs, and so
Right.
now you're competing with PC makers, and so if you lose those guys, you're totally screwed,
You're done.
because Microsoft cannot sell the amount of PCs that Lenovo does, or
Yeah.
that HP does, or
Right.
that these other and they're all like, meanwhile, HP and Lenovo are like, hey, Android's pretty interesting.
Lenovo just bought like
Hardware, you're right? They just bought like the
and
smartphone.
HP is releasing
Yeah.
phones now, and
Yeah, I mean, like
India, China, whatever.
they're all over the Microsoft thing is like the parable for or not the parable. It's the next version of this.
Yeah.
Google is the parable for Microsoft.
Yeah.
It's like Microsoft's trying to desperately turn into Apple. Google's busily turning into like the old Wintel Microsoft.
Yeah.
And like we're just switching these roles.
But I think
So the parable for me is like, if you're going to buy a phone company, you need to desperately want to win. And if you can't put everything behind it.
Yes.
If you're going to tie one hand behind their back, you're going to fail.
No, this is Palm and HP is exactly the situation.
Microsoft when they bought
Sidekick. Here's the thing: like you have to be all in, and you also have to be willing to do something that maybe works against you in the short term. I mean, like I think if Google said, "Hey, we're going to offer the open source components of Android as a basis for your platform, but if you want to use our apps, like we will charge you," because there was a story recently which apparently was not the case, but they're charging licensing fees for the apps. If they had done some variation of that and said we're going whole hog on hardware ourselves, and like you can either be with us or against us.
The licensing fee thing is like, we checked around. That story didn't check out, but we have known for a long time, and this goes to right into Samsung and why they sold Motorola. We've known for a long time that they restrict those apps unless you do what they say.
That's true.
Right.
No, remember, and Google's even said it, but Google's even said it to us.
I mean, the most famous story of that is, what was it?
It's not the most famous story anymore.
Well, not anymore. But, now the Samsung one is. But
this is a
before
GPS
there was the Skyhook GPS thing. They were going to be in the Droid, and Andy Rubin called Sanjay Jha and was like, "You're not shipping the Droid because you got this weird Wi-Fi in it, and you're going to use our location services." Right. That's. But
we also know that they. But sorry, go ahead.
But to get like Gmail and Maps and stuff on your phone, you've got to do what they say.
There have to be certain requirements
to a certain point. But the question has always been who has the leverage in these relationships, Google or the manufacturer, and it's never clear. And so, like the thing that we're leading up to talking about is that Google and Samsung signed like less than a week before this Motorola deal, a cross licensing deal, and then there's a rumor.
And I remember, and they announced it, and I remember Josh was like, "Is this important?" And I was like, "No," because now in hindsight that was ridiculous, but it's like they're always on the same side. Like, of course they signed the deal. Like
vindicated.
But like going from that to, I bet they're going to sell Motorola.
No, you couldn't have made that. You couldn't have made that leap.
But then the other part of this is that there's a rumor that Samsung is going to de-Samsungize its Android phones, and it's going to start promoting Google stuff more, and it's not going to be so touchy.
I think
and
this
that's based on the Maps app, right?
But I think this is
right.
It's
from
John Gruber said that. Right?
So the story literally earlier this week. I mean, why did just even earlier?
Wait, based
yesterday.
on what? Based on what app?
So Maps. So Ina Fried at recode.net, re/code.net.
No, there's no slash in the actual URL.
When you say it out loud,
you don't have to say slash. No. You just
say
what
is it? Anyway, she had a story that was like Samsung announced its Tab Pro at CES. It's 12-inch screen, and Google was like, cool. And they saw it, and they saw that weird Windows Phone fake UI that they have called Magazine. And they freaked out. They're like, okay, you've gone too far. You're going to come back in the fold. I assume Matias Duarte was like, will anyone ever see my work? That's how I just imagine.
I mean, the sad thing is,
he's like
Matias Duarte is the most.
He's like the Phantom of the Opera at Google. Like he just like wanders around, but designing things, but nobody ever sees him because Samsung's like glues the things on top.
I just gotta tell you, I mean, but it's true. But here's the thing about it, like it really does that stuff really matters. And when you use like a Nexus device versus like the Sony, I really like. There's a couple things on it that it's still like Sonified, which is not that big of a deal. But on Samsung devices, it's not just that the visual design and that the UI is like completely blown apart, which it is, and bad. Like I was just messing around with the Note 3 for a few days. It's not just that, but they disconnect all of what is like native and natural to like the ecosystem of Google.
Layers,
and it's like suddenly you're being asked to like be in a Samsung store for movies and a Samsung store for music and all this other crap. And it's like, listen, there's no way in hell I'm going to use your Samsung services. Right. Like I have no faith in them and no interest in them. And so like, but it does break the whole
So the story
Google
was
experience.
They saw this magazine stuff. They saw that like Samsung was even more breaking the UI and the paradigms,
like turning it into Windows.
And they
Phone,
got them to agree that they would stop it.
Well, that's the story.
Right. And I think that agreeing to stop it plus like, the concessions were, okay, fine, we'll stop it, but Google, you have to give us all of your patents.
I mean, do you think the Motorola deal is part of that?
And then that's it. And then it's like, well, and look, why? And if you're Google at that point,
so Samsung's like, listen, we will commit to making a more holistic Google experience on our devices.
Right.
but
You have
we
to
don't
stop
want to be
competing.
competing against Google
Yeah.
when it comes to hardware.
Right.
Right. And I think if you're Google,
Does that
So
mean that, do you
shit or
think
get
that,
off the pot, basically.
So,
And Google
does
decided
that
to
fuel?
get off the
does that
pot.
add fuel?
What's the right?
Shit or
which
get
one
off
is
the
it?
pot?
But which one is shit and which one is get off the pot?
I think that doesn't apply in this situation at all.
No, with regard to like believing in Motorola and like
It's like-
pushing it.
But here's the question.
I
Here's
think
the
we all
question.
have two different,
Does this,
very
I
different
have-
visuals.
yeah.
so does this all fit with the narrative, the story that we've been hearing that everybody's rumoring now that they're going to kill the Nexus program?
I don't believe
That Google's going to kill the Nexus
I don't
program?
know.
It kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like, stop making like the Halo device because Samsung wants to make the Halo device. Stop
Well-
trying to compete with us as a hardware maker because we want to be the leading hardware maker.
So
and like
this is-
we'll join. Like, here's what Google needs: buy in and lock in. I just had an argument with somebody on this, not an argument, but a conversation on Twitter about this. It's like, you need lock-in. Like, I was having a conversation about Apple and market share, and people were like, hey, they're doing fine. They made all this money. And it's like, yes, short-term, they made all this money. Long-term, that may be fine too. But like what Apple needs, what all these companies need is lock into their ecosystem.
Right.
Because like once you buy the subsidized device, like then what? And what's the next time?
Right.
And so like if you don't have that stuff, your business becomes slightly less viable than it was. Right? If you don't have the lock-in.
Then this is the question. In between Google and Samsung, who has the power right now? Who's got more leverage? Because you've got the patent agreements, you've got the UI
they have a
thing,
real. I think
and
they
then
have
you've
a
got
real.
Google selling off
Well,
Motorola.
no, so
I mean, I think
if you asked me that question earlier, and I think it's they both got themselves to a place where they agreed to do the same thing.
Right,
Yeah.
and what
And
they
like,
agreed to do
however
was
long-
let every other Android manufacturer go like, I don't know, and
Well, but
Samsung
how?
to
What are
take
the, who
over
are the
even
other?
more they already
Who are
have.
the other? HTC,
HTC,
failing.
LG, Sony.
Motorola, failing.
Sony's doing well.
Sony's doing
Sony's
well.
doing really well.
How well are they doing?
They're third place or whatever, second
Yeah.
place.
Okay, so Sony, so then they'll have the same conversation with Sony, but then
Yeah.
Sony and Samsung are going to have to duke it out.
Right.
I don't know how that.
But here's the thing: like, if you look at that classic Wintel model, which is like kind of what I'm looking at now, right? It's
By the way,
like,
Sony's making much better devices than Samsung at this moment.
Yeah.
Like if you put this phone up against the GS4, if that's its competition, it's a way better
yeah,
device.
Sony's great at hardware, right?
Yeah.
Like they have their classic Sony software problems, so they're great at hardware.
Yeah, that's the software is the problem. They should just literally go stock Android. It's so close now that whatever,
But
but
with
they
a better
can't.
camera.
But Sony can't because they want you to lock into their ecosystem. They have their little PlayStation mobile store.
Yeah.
They've got their video
But that's
store.
like a handful of apps. Like, dude,
Yeah.
if Sony
the
shipped
handful of apps that get
basically-
in
If
between
Sony
all
shipped the
kinds
next
of
Nexus
experiences.
device, that would be pretty.
Yeah, but I mean,
Well, they have the
I'm
Google
more
Play
forgiving
Edition,
of
which is a
Sony
giant
saying
phone.
that
Yeah.
you should come to our movie service because they own a movie studio, right? Like,
Yeah,
they're like they own
Yeah, but-
Sony Music. Like, do you know the best way to get access to like Taylor Swift songs is buy it directly from Sony? Like, isn't that what you want? And like in the end,
I mean,
like,
maybe. Who cares?
but
who
do you want to buy it
from?
from Google Play? Like,
I don't care
what
where
I'm
I
saying
buy
is
it
like
from.
Sony is the creator of a lot of these.
But I
things.
think that's actually Sony's problem is that they think that is more meaningful than it is. Like what you're saying, I hear what you're saying, but the truth is, like, I don't care where I buy my music from as long as I can continue using the service and I know that they're reputable and reliable
Right.
and they have the shit
But
that I
so-
want.
Okay, even on those metrics though, like I trust Google to stick around. I trust Sony to stick around because they've been in that business.
I trust Sony less than Google to stick around. If
Well,
you had to
sure,
flip a coin.
But like that's like shades. Samsung is like, well, maybe this business won't work for you. You know, like
No,
stop
I
it.
don't buy
No,
Samsung as
you
a
know,
media.
like,
it's so
I don't
much
buy
money. They're not
Samsung as
going
a
away
media.
anytime.
Wait,
They're-
in
Samsung
selling
is
music
stick-
on their
oh,
phones?
music. Oh no.
No.
Yeah.
I think
selling
never mind.
media? Like I'm not going.
No,
there.
I don't think so.
course
I don't trust or desire Samsung for like media
Right.
or services.
Right.
They
I don't
make
trust Sony either because Sony's going to give preference to their stuff and not
Yeah,
to everybody else's stuff.
Maybe
mean,
this-
that is why-
But
that is
Sony's
part of
like
the-
been. They just have the brand weight.
I think
to
what
do
I think
that.
what Nilay's saying is like they're at least like a trusted, long-standing brand that has like
Yeah, that
done
makes media.
you know the PlayStation and
Yeah.
Sony Music
Yeah.
and all these things like have existed for a while
Right.
and they're it's like the equivalent of Apple's iTunes.
I mean,
ecosystem.
I'm not saying like Sony like. They blew their opportunity to own the music space, right?
But I
They
think
just
that- but-
absolutely
but
blew it.
is
Now
that-
they're like struggling back. But like, I'm saying in terms of you're right. In terms of their hardware, they've always been superior. In terms of their software, Sony classically is like falling behind.
Yeah.
And what if all they did was they gave you stock Android and they added in the PlayStation Store and a better camera app?
Yeah.
I'd be like, that's
No,
fine.
that would be great, but people don't. But that's the problem is in what Sony hopes and believes, and I think recognizes as relatively true is that people don't. Average consumers probably are more comfortable with the Sony Music Store than Google Play Music because they don't know about it.
Right.
Like they don't know it. But Sony, you go like, oh, it's Sony. You know, that's the problem because
Also,
they're going to
Google Play Music, Google Play anything, worst branding ever.
It's awful.
Well, it's not the worst ever, but it's not great.
Pretty bad.
I
The
like the
problem.
new ad.
Yeah,
The new ads are
Play
great.
everything
They
or
played it at
whatever.
the Grammys.
Yeah. That they've been pushing it harder. But that's the thing. Like, so you still have like, what do you do with Android here? You've got this open thing that anybody can use.
I'd say since Sundar has been in charge, what you've been seeing is the gradual like exertion of control.
Yeah.
And they've got so Android's open, like it's everywhere. But like, if you actually want to compete against Apple, who is like you said, just sitting there selling phones, you've got to figure out
and services,
not
and cohesive services that nobody's questioning. You don't buy an Apple phone and go like, what will I use to download my music?
Right.
You either like if you don't subscribe to a streaming
daily problem.
If you don't subscribe to a streaming service, which most people don't at this point, you are literally still buying with no problem albums from iTunes, and that just feels like a totally natural, enjoyable experience. App Store is the same way. You know, the iBook Store, I don't think that's made quite the impact, but it's there if you want it. Google doesn't have that level of security and safety yet in their services. You know, they do in their services like Gmail, but not in
search.
Not in their retail
Although
services.
Gmail did, have a bug where you push the button, it did stuff to your other email.
Yeah, but that's pretry rare.
Yeah, it's pretty rare.
I'll take that over just the having to use Apple Mail any day.
Yeah, I mean, this is the worst mail client.
I can't believe people use mail, like a mail client like that every day. It seems crazy to me.
Yeah,
it just
you don't want to get scroogled.
It blows my mind. Yeah, I don't care about. You can scroogle me actually. Here's the deal.
Here we go. Breaking news: Google financials. The call's happening right now.
Oh.
Motorola itself lost $384 million, so their losses were increasing.
That didn't work.
And then Google overall made $3.9 billion in profit. They made one Motorola in profit.
$3.9 billion in profit overall.
Up from $3.3 billion a year ago.
What was Apple's profit this quarter?
I don't remember.
Can we pull that up?
And the revenue was up to 15 points. So Google's doing fine. But Motorola was doing terribly.
Google's doing okay. I think the question is, what does Google do in the future? But here's what I see.
It was record revenue for Apple. Profits were $13.1 billion.
13.1 billion.
With a B.
They have a lot more to sell than Google does, frankly.
And
and their margins are way better. Really great. Here's the thing, though. There's a real mess going on. Like, things have not gotten any more organized. Wow. They've gotten messier.
Apple's scale, you don't think about. I always think of these companies as being about the same size, but their scale is just ridiculous.
So,
like Apple did $57.6 billion in revenue. Google total did 15.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me.
And the thing that's crazy about it is like we've just become like anesthetized to it because every quarter it's like, oh, record profits, record revenues for Apple. It just keeps getting bigger. They're huge.
Well,
there's only you look at the top 10.
So we can just go right.
Oil companies.
We're doing earnings.
We're gonna run through Google earnings.
Well, I mean, Google's earnings are happening live. I mean, we can talk about Apple because they're happening.
Yeah.
But they happen. So there are two big stories I think out of the financials. So they sold a lot of iPad Airs, which I think they deserve to. It's a great product. Well, iOS 7 is actually Gruber had a line today where he was like, iOS 7 is the least playful. And I think it crystallizes my problems with it.
The least playful?
By least playful, do you mean most crashy? Because it's
super crashy. It's not a fun operating system. It's very it's very utilitarian. And they just took it back too far, and all the blurring and the swoopiness. It's there's something about it where the pendulum swung too much. But regardless of that, I really like using the iPad much more than my old iPad. So they sold a lot of iPads, they sold a lot of iPhones. The big story was Tim Cook dancing around the fact that the 5C has not sold very well.
Yeah,
he was like, the mix is stronger to the 5S.
Right,
we didn't expect people to be as interested in the 5S.
The percentages weren't what we expected them to be. So he never said.
And then this crazy thing where he's like, they just really love the Touch ID sensor. That's dude, that's not why. No. That's definitely not.
Also,
why
the Touch ID sensor is terrible and works really badly.
I hear so many mixed messages
Chris
on
loves
this.
it.
I find that it's almost 90% of the time when using it does not get the correct read, and I end up having to put my
I got to get a 5S.
passcode
I mean, I've been using a 5 for a while now, and I need to make my own call on this Touch ID thing because I'm hearing lots of people
it's just
say it's
very
the best.
minor though. Like it really doesn't save that much time. I mean, you're literally talking about the difference.
If it means I don't have to plug in my iTunes password when I download an app.
That's actually the biggest. That's the best part.
So there's that.
But of
and
course,
then
Apple could just change the way they could just say put your password in, and like every 7 days we'll recheck. Like not every time you buy something.
Well, you want to anyway.
And I guess if like you're annoying. I guess if you're annoying, horrible kids have managed to unlock your device and are buying things on it. Maybe just get them their own phone.
Here's your own stupid phone.
Here's you horrible bastard. Take this. Anyhow, go ahead.
So the other piece was he said regarding Touch ID, we have, that's one of the mobile payments is a reason we're like looking at, we built this thing. So he hinted at that. He hinted again, very, very like, it's funny how much more explicit we're going to have new product categories.
New product categories.
Oh, so Gene Munster.
It was in response to Munster.
So Munster goes, look, like sounded all sad. He's like, I just want to make sure, like you've been saying you're going to have new products in 2014. Is that still true? And Tim Cook was like, yes, absolutely. You just heard the glee.
Absolutely like they're going to
new product
categories.
They're going to have an iWatch. And that's the consensus is. They're going to do wearables.
Well, that Sapphire Factory.
Well, it's got to be done. Right? He said they built a Sapphire Factory.
The Sapphire Factory is going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
And
then there's rumors about the Apple TV.
The Apple TV became its own product listing on the store.
Yep.
And then we ran a story. The iPod sales have just collapsed. They're gone.
Yeah. The iPod is like, let's be clear. The age of the iPod, the age of the iPod is over. The time of the iPod where it ruled which is like 15 years or something. Mm-hmm. How long has the iPod been around? 2001?
Yeah.
That's when it came out. So not quite 15 years, but a long time. Oh, no, wait. What year is it? 2014?
Yeah.
Whatever. Pretty close.
October 2001.
It's pretty notable. Like iPod sales on a pretty steady decline. Mm-hmm. Tim Cook even said, we know they've been slowing for a while.
Yeah.
It's almost completely cannibalized now by their other products. I mean, basically everybody is getting a smartphone.
Yep.
Lots of people are getting... Or an iPad. Lots of people are getting either one of them. They both do the same job. I mean, the iPod obviously lives on as a piece of software. It's the music software inside.
It is remarkable how many iPods I see on the subway still.
Yeah.
Since I'm in New
there's
York,
there's a lot of legacy. I mean, people own these devices and you can use them for years. But the moment where the iPod was this sort of defining device is over. And I think like it wouldn't be surprising in the next couple of years to see them, discontinue or severely limit what they're making as far as iPods go.
I have a weird, crazy... Well, there's like a sadness there to me for that because the iPod was defined wholly by music. Mm-hmm. And it came at just a period in my life and I think a lot of our generation's lives where it was... I listened to a lot of music.
Yeah.
And it was like, this stuff is on my iPod. It's always here. I don't have to connect to like a cell network to listen to it.
I think it's arguable it saved...
It saved music. It saved music industry. Like iTunes and the iPod, like they did that thing.
And not only that, but gave it a whole different, gave independent artists a whole different life.
Oh man, the original commercial.
This commercial is the first commercial.
Bad. It's crazy.
Oh, it's so ridiculous. I mean, this dude's just rocking. He can't stop rocking.
And then I get it.
And he's like got a firewire.
It's like this commercial.
It's so weird. And like that thing that he just did doesn't happen.
His head swings right there.
Oh god.
What are you doing?
Oh no,
he
stop
gets
that.
The door.
Hey, the 90s. I mean, this is basically the 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's 2000.
I mean, those pants. Like, what are you doing?
Is this the dude from House?
No. What?
No, it's not. But it looks a lot like.
No, this is the this.
I mean, this guy cannot leave his
house.
He's rocking so hard. Do you understand?
This is the last work this actor ever did.
And you know what? It's iconic.
Like, this shit's on his reel. It gets all over. It is. I mean, this was the first one. They were so proud of themselves.
Oh man.
No, they should go back. They should go back. That's fine.
So Dieter and I were just joking. It's like every morning I wake up and I try to figure out what music service I'm going to use, and like all my playlists are like in 50 different places, and like nothing feels as contained and as smart. It was like the iPod did in a way.
I think it's very much like the iPhone, where somebody finally was like, "Oh, you have the answer." Like everybody's been trying to get at this. We knew it was going to happen. It seemed like it had to happen, and you finally just gave us like this complete answer to the question. And now it's the same way with everything else.
Yeah,
it's kind of a confused landscape. It's that you're not sure where you're going to land. I was just talking about this with somebody. The idea that when records were at the top of their game, when everybody's buying vinyl, nobody was sitting around going like, "What'll the next thing be?" Mm-hmm. They were like, "Records are awesome," like period. Like, and
this is the music industry.
When cassettes came along and started gaining popularity, I'm sure people were like, I mean, I know the 8-track was in there a little bit, but people were probably like, "What do I want this? This is crazy." CDs. I remember it took forever for CD adoption to become a thing. And this is now, it's different because it's not about formats necessarily.
Yeah.
It's really
not about quality.
I mean, it's about, you have a million different ways to listen to music now, a million different ways that you can take something with you, like what type of thing
it's
you take.
It's commodified too. I have a million different ways to listen to the same song at about the same quality.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Like if I want to listen...
There won't be there's not going to be another huge shift. I think quality may get better.
Right.
Storage, or lack of thereof, networks may get better.
Yeah, but quality gets better on a service like Spotify. Quality gets better for you all at once.
But now there's so
They're
much
like,
of it.
we're upgrading our streaming quality.
There's something
and, like,
about the effort of organizing your music and moving it around, like
that connects you to it.
That connects you to it, and with the services, it's there. It's not whatever.
That's why I think Rdio had the best idea. But then again, we might just be old.
Yeah.
Kids these days, they just put on Spotify on shuffle or whatever.
Yeah, it's all over.
They get on their hoverboards and put their invisibility cloak on and fly off into
watch that
to the club.
show about Selfie.
They fly up to the club on the moon where there's a huge concert.
We can wrap up Google earnings here real quick.
I don't know what that means. Yeah, what's that? What happened with Google?
So they beat their estimates.
They beat the street.
Beat the street.
That's exciting.
Well, no, it missed them.
They missed the street.
They missed the streets, but the stock went up. That's what happened.
Great.
So
Street wasn't that upset.
Street was happy with them.
Let me see what Twitter says about this.
Okay, we should move on. I think that's enough Apple and Google for today.
I'm tired of talking about them.
I hate them.
Let's. What's next?
I reviewed the Pebble. It's on my wrist. It's right here.
I thought you were gonna lend that to me. What happened?
I'm waiting for mine to get here. You played it?
Dieter said, "Yeah, I played. I've seen it. I played with it at CS." I'm like, get that away from me. I don't even want to touch it. I really like it. I still don't really want to wear it, but as smartwatches go, if you really have like a hankering for a smartwatch, like I wouldn't buy another one besides this.
No, that's
this would be the one that I would buy. I mean, it looks like a watch.
So, did you read the conclusion of my review? Where this is the first Palm Pilot. No,
Palm
V.
Palm 5.
Palm
This is
5,
Palm 5.
which actually industrial design wise has a lot in common with it.
Yeah.
Because it was metal. Remember, it had like a metal housing, right? And it was like
cool.
a graphite color.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they had in different colors.
I think the Palm 5 in terms of design, it was a little bit better than this.
Yeah. Well, this is.
But this is the first one I would wear.
It's a decent looking watch. I don't wear watches that look like that.
Right.
I have been trying out the Fitbit Force, however, which is actually also functions as a digital watch.
Yeah.
But you got to hit the button though.
You have to hit the button. I don't know why they don't just make it like a motion sensor thing.
Right.
Like they have motion sensors
Why
in
don't
there, right?
Yeah.
It should be like a certain kind of like if I really
here's why I
Why
snap.
don't
don't
they
know.
put
I really snap,
old
just do
school
this.
1980s
That's gonna
style displays on these things? Like
What do you
Big
mean?
LCDs?
Like
big, just an
Casio?
LCD like that is just
Well, 'cause how are
always
you gonna
on.
Well, you
get
can
this
download
Foursquare
one
app?
for that.
No, I meant for the Fitbit.
Why? They have this. Why would they do that? This is a very
Because then you don't have to
futuristic.
hit a button or do motion. It's just there.
Oh, you
just
mean an
look at it.
additional secondary display,
Yeah.
an LCD display?
I don't know about a
I think
second
you're
one.
kind of dreaming. I think that's a weird, bad idea.
All right.
I think what you just suggested is horrible.
For the longest time, like Lexuses had that clock still in them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And like you'd get one of it
It has like
Lexus
with the two
Like,
buttons. Like
Yeah,
it
it's
has,
like, dude, that's an 8-cent clock. Like it's a Lex. Like don't do that again.
yeah, but what a luxurious. What the hell?
Well, it's better than having to hit a button.
Oh, yeah. Well, a lot of the
But
luxury
like a
cars have
fancy analog
analogs
clock
now.
is one thing, but a Lexus would like have a digital clock like in
I
the
don't
center
know,
of
but
the stack.
fancy. They're like they are also 8 cents, but they have like a hand on
It's like
them.
you're an old guy now. Read your old guy clock.
But I think your review is fair. I think
yeah,
look,
I talked to a bunch of people. Like
I just
the other
think if Apple,
reviewers,
like
and-
people, everybody's showing this concept of the iWatch, which actually Wired did a really nice on one of their covers recently. They did a mock-up of an iWatch, which was which had like a leather strap and was sort of like had rose gold on it and was like actually kind of cool. Like it looked like this weird blend of modern. That's actually what I like about the Moto X with the wood backs. It's a weird blend of like modern and retro.
Yeah. Until you see the front.
If Apple does if Apple does this iWatch that everybody's talking about, I mean, Pebble is just
this isn't my computer.
their business is finished. Like they can just they're done.
That's what I
They
said.
don't have
So
the
that was
money-
my
they don't have
review.
the
Your
money
search
to make-
history on this computer, Nilay.
This is
just
not
a
my
parade of fail.
So I only use this account on this computer when we do the Vergecast.
That's good.
My search history is like Two Broke Girls, the word racist spelled wrong, neck neutrality, fake chart, and Brave New World sequel.
Sounds right to me.
I have no idea.
I remember
That's
all of
real
that.
sad
I remember
for
when
me.
all that happened.
Yeah.
What the hell was I talking about? Oh, I was gonna say like Pebble just into the manufacturing, the designers, the software
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
to compete with Apple, and nobody does. And as we've seen, Samsung doesn't. I mean, at least as far as watches are concerned, like they can sell a bunch of phones. I mean, there's reasons for that that are beyond design and manufacturing. But
Right. No, here's the thing. The thing that makes the Pebble good is like, yeah, okay, it's reasonably designed now. The first Pebble was also good, and I think in retrospect, the design didn't age even a year well. And it's got a bad display. Like, it's kind of a little too blue.
Everybody's okay with the display except for me. I think it's terrible.
Well, I think it's too. If they could just make it black and white instead of this weird blue, I'd be happy. But the software doesn't try to do a lot, and that's the whole game, right? Like, I just want this to tell me what my phone is doing,
right?
Or like, and now you can send minor data to your phone.
So I wonder if that's going to be the. I've thought a lot about this when thinking about Apple's potential product. Will that be the track they take, where it's like this does a couple of things, like, they're kind of notorious for making versions of things very limited. I mean, I feel like if an iWatch were to come out and it was like, we have an app store for it, and it can, there's games you can play on, and there's all this stuff, I think it would be a big mess. I feel like they're going to do a thing that's like a really good watch.
Yeah.
Some fitness tracking stuff.
Yeah, they'll do that.
And we'll get notifications from your phone and show it to you on your wrist.
There's all these rumors that they're hiring all these sensor people to do like even better fitness tracking.
Yeah.
So they'll do that stuff. I think my theory is that they will make it be able to connect to apps on your phone, but because they're Apple and they have total platform control, they will get to say something like, well, if you want to update your app for iOS 8, you've got to put in an iWatch screen.
Right.
And they can just do that. The same way that right now they're saying if you want to update your app for iOS 7, you got to redesign it.
Right.
Or you got to optimize for it. And they will be able to say, there are some apps that make no sense for them to have an iWatch screen, but they can say, you can get at the iWatch, but to do it, you have to do it our way and in this fashion.
Right.
And that makes it more of an exception.
What's the iWatch price point? $399.
The first one?
Feels like $399
Wouldn't
to
be
me.
surprised.
I think that's probably right.
I mean, this thing is...
are you thinking it's good touchscreen? Right?
Yeah.
It has to be.
It doesn't have to be. That's not.
Yeah, but this is
I don't see Apple making a device that is an device.
Color touchscreen makes it bigger and makes the battery not great.
The rumor for a year now has been that they were having battery problems.
Well, the battery thing seems like the biggest issue.
Right.
The iPhone cannot last a day.
Right.
I'm stunned and surprised, having just been reusing an iPhone again for a little bit, how bad the battery life is. It's
I'm plugging in all day.
It's a terror.
I don't want to deal with it.
It's a terror.
You do plug in all day.
I plug in all day.
In fact, I mentioned the battery life on this thing is ridiculous.
Is it really good?
It's really good. It's really good.
You should let me borrow that.
I can't. I don't think so.
Okay.
I can't remember. I'm sort of reinvigorated about the Z1. Especially after our last Vergecast where you guys were looking at pictures, you're like, oh, that's definitely the iPhone. And I'm like, nope, that's the Z1. I actually feel like, you know what? It's a really good camera, but all of the other stuff is just stupidly good. The worst thing about this is the screen viewing angles.
No, it's a glass back.
It's
that's the worst thing about that.
The glass back? It's
terrible.
That doesn't bother me. What's really interesting that I just discovered is that there are a few scratches on the screen.
Yeah. That screen is not great.
The thing that says Sony on it, there is a screen protector on here that Sony puts on their devices that you can remove. And there's just a screen under here that also has glass on it. This is a adhesive thing. It's really, really well attached.
Yeah.
There's videos online where people are like, you just get a scalpel and put it under, or not a scalpel, like an X-Acto knife. You put it under here to pull it up, and then you peel it off, and it's just a protector. But
and then your screen gets destroyed the first
time.
Well,
I don't know. Cool. I don't know what the glass is. I have to.
You just open your phone. You just look directly at the screen and just start breaking into pixels individually.
But I don't know why. I don't know why you would take it off. That's the thing. It's basically the screen.
Right.
So I can't understand why. Anyhow, what were we talking about? We're talking about Apple earnings. We're done with that.
So now we should talk about. We're just staying.
We're talking about iWatch. Oh, Pebble.
We did the Pebble.
Then we're talking about iWatch.
No, the next, actually, a surprisingly big piece of news in a very minor way.
TMNT, the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pictures from Michael Bay's movie.
It looks okay.
Did everybody see those?
And
then Paramount freaked out and was like, to everybody in the world, you need to pull these or we're going to sue you for copyright infringement or trademark infringement, whatever the hell it was. That was great. But they're also available all over the internet. Go, just Google it.
I mean, seriously, our legal people were like, yeah, they know they're going to lose and they can't take them down from everywhere. They're just making a big show out of it. So, yeah.
But they actually kind of look like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from the movies from the old movies. So that's cool.
Michael Bay, if he's going to, he's doing it.
He's going to have a meltdown with the turtles.
They're a little bit closer
in the
to the
sewer.
comics. Just
him and Shredder. What?
No, never mind.
A little bit closer.
I read the comics.
Shredder. He is Shredder.
Look, Shredder
that
is
would be the best.
Oh, there are also pictures of Shredder.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
And he looks all right.
I hope Krang is in the movie. Krang is the brain inside the
Yeah,
robot body.
I'm aware of
the
Krang. Dude, I played
greatest-
the TMNT role-playing game, all right?
wow.
Oh my god, are you serious?
Yeah, of course.
Wow.
We should get together and play
Do
some.
you want to
TM.
talk about Nintendo phone apps or Facebook Paper?
Paper? I think it's what you were working towards. Am I crazy?
I can't tell.
I was sort of headed there.
So paper.
Yeah,
What do you wanna know?
you did a big thing.
Yeah, so
Paper
it's
is like newsstand.
Yeah, so we thought it was
No.
going to be. Well, that's the
It's
thing.
like
It was like supposed to be like Flipboard. That's
Yeah.
what we were expecting. But that's there. There's all the little news things. But on top of that, it has like the standard like Facebook news feed,
Yeah.
and you can write to it, and you can do messaging, and you can add and remove friends.
I thought they were just showing a video of like people playing with
No,
actual
this is
paper.
they actually that's what that video is. But it's
this
their
is
commercial
hilarious.
for the app. But here's the thing about it. It's really good if you use Facebook at all, use this app and not the Facebook app because it's faster, it's prettier, it's nicer, it's just
This is,
simpler.
on my Android
it's
phones.
everything that you
I
want
use-
from
I
Facebook.
use,
But here's my
uh,
problem.
the crap
Where's
cover
the
feed. It's just
information
like
being
cover
Where's the
feed.
information being curated from?
So the Facebook part is just your Facebook.
Also, is there an Android app? Because I haven't not.
and not on Android. It's just iPhone right now.
Oh, cool.
And then the news feeds are curated by people that Facebook hire. And
Oh.
we're on it, by the way. We're one
That's
of the news
wonderful.
sources.
Well, that's great.
There's
I'm
more.
like-
There's more breaking news that Ross
God.
is literally like flashing red at me. Breaking. Pentagon announces nomination of Michael Rogers, U.S. Fleet Cyber Command, as head of the NSA and U.S. Cyber Command. So
Oh, cool.
New NSA boss.
Great.
Michael Rogers, I know you're watching this, or
Michael
someone,
Rogers, we'd love to speak to you
please talk
about
to
your
us.
plans for the NSA.
Yeah, and how you will further spy us.
Yeah.
I mean, Ross, he can just see what you're typing right now. You might as well just tell him to call me.
Just tell him to call. Yeah, just can you put in
Just put in
Nilay's
my
phone
phone number,
number
like,
in
you'll
the
get it.
Google Doc that you're working from, and he'll just
Yeah.
be able to ring
So
us
you want to know what
immediately.
his interview was like? He walked in and like, you think we're going to hire you? And he said, yeah, I read that you would. I'm like, you're hired.
This,
like, I
this is the
already
guy
hacked
who
your shit.
I already
rumored-
know you're gonna
This
hire
is the
me.
rumor.
Yeah, it's a
the
rumor.
rumored
No,
guy,
no surprises here. I mean, like, I don't know. We watched the State of the Union. We're waiting for anything about that stuff to happen.
Nothing.
And,
Yeah.
like,
No.
it's like Obama gave a speech where he
The
said
best
the
thing
word
with the State of the
metadata.
Union was
1,000
Biden going,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, what's funny about
do we
the
know who
state,
he was pointing at?
No, I wish.
somebody
any
who
human
he really
being.
likes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's funny about the State of the Union is that it was all completely overshadowed by the dude from Staten Island saying he was going to throw a reporter off of a balcony. Like literally, if you watch the news right now, it's like, yeah, Obama, the State of the Union, whatever. But
Yeah.
have you heard about Michael Grimm and him throwing a guy over the balcony? It's like
That's the way it
yeah,
should be.
all right, that's cool.
You think that was
Wait,
like,
which was
that
more
a
boring, State of the
specific
Union or the
strategy?
Grammys?
Ooh.
Oh well, Grammys was started off strong.
Yeah.
And got boring.
Yeah.
Dude, it was like 3 hours and
And then
45 minutes. It's crazy long.
They ruined one more than it already had been. They ruined Metallica's one
Yeah.
by like
That
the
was
audio-
terrible.
The hi-hat, all you could hear was
Oh my god, the hi-hat was so loud, so
The whole
loud.
time.
But here's the thing. Some great performances.
I'm laughing that hard because every time the hi-hat started, John, our producer, would just tweet like, "Oh my God, that's me!"
Yeah, no, the hi-hat was crazy. But the Grammys, I like how we're just segueing from. I don't know what the hell we're
whatever.
doing to the Grammys. The Grammys were great. Okay, the Beyonce Jay-Z performance at the top of the show,
That was good.
Amazing.
killer.
Yeah.
The Lorde performance, even though she's totally insane, was really,
so
really,
good.
was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dark
like
Horse, forget about it.
Yeah.
Awesome. The bet, like so goth.
Look, I like
But
the
you know
Imagine
what?
Dragons thing too. I did.
No, that was terrible.
I liked it.
That was terrible.
I did a little Taylor Swift dancing.
That was
Yeah.
oh my god, Taylor Swift dancing
It was
the best.
amazing.
The worst thing I've ever seen in my
Come
entire
on.
life.
The best.
It was like
She's the
my
only person in the room
brain.
who's trying to have a good time.
My whole brain was assaulted. My eyes and brain were assaulted by
Look, I
her
like-
moves are so like it's like a mom. Her moves are such mom moves.
Listen,
it's out of control.
When later in the show, when everybody was dancing like that, and it made me feel so good to know that a giant room full of the most famous, richest musicians on the planet can't dance any better than I can. It was awesome.
I don't know. Some of them could dance better than you.
I mean,
Well,
not
Usher,
Taylor-
Usher was there.
but not.
Like, let's be
but
honest.
not.
Usher was like, he's like, I got to tone it down.
But not Taylor. Not Taylor Swift. There were a lot of bad
Whatever, man.
performances.
Taylor
There were
Swift knows
like
how to party.
there were like this like
No, here's my theory.
Casey Underwood or something. I don't know what her name is. She's
Casey
basically
Underwood.
she's basically like Carrie Underwood, but
She's
she's
wearing
like
a lampshade.
What is going on? Right
I don't
now?
know. Yeah, by the way, this piano thing.
Oh, they should have done a punch
Leave
there.
her alone on that too. Come on.
This piano thing. The piano
Whatever.
thing is all bullshit. That was such like theatrics, and also like
No, so I have this
never,
theory.
it's like Tori Amos called.
The reason the
She wants
Beyonce
her-
performance
well,
was
that's true.
good.
She wants her hair flipping back.
It's because all of those performers are like, screw it, turn on the auto tune. And like,
Except
it was
for
just
the
running in the
Not
background.
Katy Perry.
Not
She
the-
definitely did not have the
country
auto-tune on.
singers
Yeah.
were not
Daft Punk,
auto-tuned.
Pharrell definitely did not have the auto-tune on. No, that was like John tweeted, like, remember when a prerequisite for singing on national television is that you had to be able to sing? And it is like true. It's like, I know, like, Pharrell can sing certain parts of songs.
Yeah.
But like, there definitely are
No,
parts.
that
I feel
performance of Get Lucky was the worst karaoke I've ever
and he's
heard.
like, and it's like Stevie
Like,
Wonder's there just
no,
jamming.
when I
It's
was
like,
in,
dude, Stevie
I was
Wonder's here.
hoping
Like,
that
get it together.
The shade in front of Daft Punk would actually
It made me
never
feel
come
bad.
down.
I was like, oh my God.
I was
Like, he's
hoping the whole
judging
time
you.
the shade would stay up, but they just wouldn't
would
lower
never
it.
come
They're
out.
like, yeah. No, but it was awesome when they lowered it. I mean, it was really great. The best part about Daft Punk being there was, and I took a few pictures of it. Like, I literally ran up to my TV and was taking pictures. Daft Punk just like casually being there in
His
their
robots.
robot helmets,
Yeah.
just like the whole time, which I have to say is the best. Like, it's so awesome
and they
for
won
them.
so many Grammys.
First off, we don't
as
know
the
if it was
robots.
even them.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. Second,
Oh God, I didn't even think of that.
yeah, they could send Daft Punks all over the place.
Yeah.
What's so great though is like, I mean, you could do whatever you want inside that helmet. You know? You can make any kind of face you want. They could be having a cell phone conversation with somebody on a Bluetooth headset. Like, you don't know what's going on inside. They could be watching a movie. Like, I don't know what's going on inside the helmet. But what I do know is it's their choice.
Yeah.
Everybody else has to be subjected to reality 24/7. Anyhow, I think so. I'd like to have a helmet.
Well, no, when they open
also,
the curtain,
their faces are completely covered, so they don't have to worry if they get a zit or something. They're all set.
They're happy.
It's amazing.
They're definitely-
Well, we don't know if they're happy, but that's the beauty of the helmet.
So the question is, when they're like not performing, they're sitting around in their living room watching TV. If it's
In the
if
nude.
it's so
In the nude
comfortable-
with a helmet on.
in the nude with a helmet on.
Yeah.
I would think that if I wore a helmet whenever I was in public, I would start wanting to wear it when I was.
I
at
can get
home
you a
by
helmet.
myself.
I think so people do sell really expensive replicas of those helmets, which
Yeah.
I definitely have considered purchasing at one point or another. But I think that they, I mean, look, there are pictures of them. They used to not wear the helmets.
Yeah.
Like long before Daft Punk wore helmets, they had faces.
And then they lost their faces.
And their faces fell
They were
off.
forced to wear helmets.
Exactly.
no, Chris was saying they could be the first immortal band, right? Because
Yeah.
all they have to do is like hand off
It's
the
true.
helmet.
It's
Yeah.
like
Like Daft Punk will be here forever.
It's like
Because-
James Bond.
like,
Only,
sort of like how here they are on eBay.
wow.
This is crazy. There's some really expensive ones like that have the electronics and stuff. Look at that, $1,500 with gloves. Like seriously, let's see the picture of somebody with it on. Yeah,
That's
so
ridiculous.
here's what's crazy about it. If you do spend $1,500 on this and you're like the right height and have the right style, pretty much you could go to like a club and people would probably think you're actually.
But you need a friend.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't like.
And if you're the
I've
kind of
never
person
seen
that-
like one robot solo.
If you're, yeah.
I don't know what's going on here. Can we see the other helmet? Is there somebody? This is not my favorite helmet. I think I prefer
this
the.
is not my favorite helmet.
The other thing I like
Yeah,
about
that-
Daft
this
Punk
is
is they
the-
don't
this
try
is
to
the-
That's a
mime.
good one, yeah.
They
the
don't emote.
Guy Manuel one. This one is
Yeah.
awesome.
That's
Did they
the
make a
one.
motorcycle helmet that looks like this?
I mean, they have to at this point.
This one is not exactly what he had on.
You know
the
what's
other
funny
night.
is that record, I think, is not. It's a good record, has some good tracks on it, but it has some extremely weird moments.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as a whole,
Like the Paul Williams track, "Touch," the worst, one of the worst songs in the world. Like it's really bad, and like I get that they were like into a certain style that they wanted to do.
Yeah.
That record is I would say this. It's
What's the
It's
track with the
uneven.
German dude speaking? Everything is forgiven because of that
that's
track.
Giorgio by Moroder.
Yeah, everything-
That song is
Yeah.
amazing, but it also sounds like the band Zombie if you've ever heard them, and it also kind of sounds like Trans Am if you've ever heard them. So like it's not. It is really good. That's my favorite song on the record. Actually. That or Doing It Right. I mean, Doing It Right is really, really like Doing It Right is like a perfectly formed single.
Oh my God! Somebody just tweeted the best conspiracy theory at me.
Let's
ever.
hear it.
It doesn't involve Daft Punk.
Did
Daft
someone
Punk
die at the end?
Punked everyone at the Grammys. They were in there in the audience with their helmets off, along with the robots, like sitting behind them.
That's possible. Wait, is there proof of that?
Yeah, let me.
Is there a conspiracy theory
I don't-
of that?
it's like this.
You're trying to airplay
Just
to
do
the
it. Just
podcast
search.
right now,
I
aren't
don't
you?
know what to
Just
do.
do a search. Daft Punk. You know.
I don't know what to do.
Grammy,
He literally
Grammy
brought up the, like, the
conspiracy.
airplay thing. He's like, oh, where do I put it? I don't know.
I would do Daft Punk Grammy conspiracy. C-O-N.
Yeah, but what are you going to do once it's
conspiracy.
there? That's
I
not
don't
going to
know,
help
man.
anything.
It's this one. It's a Reddit. No, it's actually this right here.
Can we get Nilay's screen up on the screen?
No,
my
this
screen.
is not helping anything.
This is the thing I was just
It's
looking
one of the best moments ever. of
Vergecast,
the-
ladies
Look at
and
this.
gentlemen.
These are the. I mean, they're probably wrong. This probably isn't true.
Wait, really? Can I see this on the big screen? I want to get a look at this.
Oh, there we go.
So here's a picture of the dudes recently,
Pump it up behind Nilay, would you? Okay.
and then here are some guys sitting behind them in this like sunglasses. That's like very possibly them.
No, it's possible.
Wait a second. You're saying the guy in the sunglasses on the left?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, scroll down.
And then this is them.
No, those are not the same people.
I like this theory.
Those are not the same people.
No, I like it.
They're not the same people.
Okay, fine.
I mean, I guess it's possible, but I don't think it's the same people.
It'd be incredible who it was.
It would be incredible, but I don't think it's correct. It would be easy
look,
to figure this out.
It's on Reddit, so let's see.
I'm being...
No.
There you go. Okay, so there's the person who's like, yeah, here's who the people are. It's not them.
Wait, who?
There's a guy in the comments who's like...
No. I think the glory of Daft Punk is that you can believe anything you want.
No, what's great about it is that even somebody would even suggest that. That's why the helmets are awesome. They're like, there were other people in the helmets and they were sitting casually next to them. Like, that didn't happen.
Is there a way that I can transition from here to Macklemore to John Legere?
You mean Macklemore?
I said Macklemore.
Macklemore had
Who
a big
apparently
night.
has a little buddy, and that's like in the name of his band, and I can't remember.
Ryan Lewis?
Ryan Lewis.
He's not his little buddy. He's the guy who makes all of Macklemore's songs.
I know, but
by the way, hold on. Can we play my game? I have a new game that I play.
Okay.
When you see a picture of Macklemore and Ryan Lewis together, imagine that Ryan Lewis has a small remote control somewhere that he's using to control Macklemore. Now, can we find a picture of Macklemore and Ryan Lewis together?
Okay.
Here we go. You ready? I mean, you imagine he's remote controlling him.
Mm-hmm. How long are we going to wait for this?
I don't know. It's up to Nilay. Nilay found the one site that cannot load photos.
I just meant that whenever they talked about it on the Grammys, it was like Macklemore. And
I think if you see them standing together, you'll begin to wonder.
This picture will be particularly good for this.
You'll begin to
Is
wonder.
Who is this guy?
I don't know who these people are. You've completely failed.
I went to their website.
Google image
There they are,
search.
right here.
Okay, here we go. Great example.
Okay.
By the way, this picture's hilarious. Right. Okay, just imagine down. You can't see it, but in his right hand, Ryan Lewis is holding a small, like, touchscreen remote control that operates Macklemore. Can we see another picture of them together? Here we go. This is great stuff. This is great.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
There you go. Now you got it. Okay, it makes total sense here. He could easily be in his pocket, right hand. Yeah. Okay, let's see another one. Can we get another picture up?
Oh, it was right behind me. Holy crap.
Yeah, right. He's right there. I mean, would it be amazing to discover that he's a robot, right?
No.
My city.
That's the only picture you have?
I got a whole bunch right here. It's all happening.
Oh my God, his hand in his pocket.
He's hiding it.
See that? What else we got? You can't see his hands. Can't see his hand right there. Hand off screen. Okay. No, but
Maybe
this one's
the wristband. Maybe it's a smart.
Yeah, okay.
His hand.
His hand is hiding. He does this a lot, and I think that's what spurred the thought. I don't know what's going on with these. Okay, great stuff. Macklemore sent an amazing text to Kendrick Lamar, like apologizing.
For robbing him.
Here's the thing. Somebody on Twitter did the most amazing. They had a picture of the text, maybe one that not everybody saw. I just need to find this so we can show it to people, because this to me is like one of the best.
Really?
It's one of the best things ever. Yeah, hold on. Let me just. This is gonna be so hard.
Is this it that you got robbed?
Yeah, there's another one though. Hold on a second. This is gonna be a horrible moment where I try to find. How do you find your favorites? How do I find my favorites in the? This is so horrible.
Oh,
here we
Twitter
go.
app. Oh, on the
Oh yeah. Oh, you got it. Is this it? No, there's another one. Hold on. Here it is. How do I send this to somebody? How do I?
Are you sure this isn't them?
Can I share my screen with you?
I told you.
Hold
I'm on board with this theory.
I'm going
I believe
to.
it's them.
Nilay, what's the best way to get you this tweet? How do I
tweet it at me?
If I tweet it at you, are you able to get it there?
Or send it to me in chat.
Send it to you in chat.
Oh wait, I won't get it here.
Is this?
Where can I?
Retweet it right now.
This is some.
Oh yeah, that's it. Go to my favorites.
Right
go to my favorites.
We're literally on.
This is great. No. Just go to my favorites. Go to Joshua Topolsky.
Oh my God.
You're right there. Go to Joshua
We're gonna find out what
Topolsky.
else you're faving right now.
No, that's okay. Now hold on.
I have no idea how to find favorites.
Hold on. Scroll up.
Scroll up.
Scroll up. Is it on the left? Favorites.
Oh, weird.
You didn't know that?
That's a terrible.
Oh, you got to be signed in.
What?
You can't see somebody's favorites.
Come on.
You can't see somebody's favs. What did you want me to do? Send it to Ross?
Yeah.
Text it to him? Hip chat it? This is
We're gonna
really.
see your password,
by the way,
Jordan.
this is not
Jordan.
worth.
Okay.
Oh my God! Now we know how many characters it is.
It's all of the characters.
Here we go. Here
Yeah,
we
you
go.
and Jordan are in a race.
Keep going. Yeah, this is so not worth it. Is this me? There we go. Can you open that up?
That's not worth it at
This
all.
is it. This is a letter.
Macklemore.
Macklemoron. Sorry, my brother. I think you deserve the Grammy. I'm totally lower shades Macklemortified. Anyone who thinks otherwise is lower shades. I'm Macklemoron. Come on.
No, pretty good.
It was totally worth it.
Yeah.
Totally worth all this trouble.
Why is there a pen?
That guy deserves a lot more credit for that tweet. I just want to say he only got 90 retweets. Can we get his number up? I don't know who he is.
Is it still dead, Ross?
Hello? What happened? Did our thing go down?
We went away for a minute.
Oh,
We're back.
good. Then nobody saw that, right?
Well,
That's right. Perfect timing.
The stream went down because of.
We're Macklemortified.
We're back.
See? Anyhow, not worth it. Hopefully somebody had a guffaw over it. It just was too much buildup. Anyhow, so what were we talking about? You want to talk about Macklemore?
I was talking about.
We were.
I was going to go from there somehow.
this broadcast over yet?
Macklemore, John Ledger's favorite rapper.
Oh God.
And then I was going to do a thing.
Oh, John Ledger.
But I didn't really know how to get there.
John Ledger. I mean, how much you want to do? We really want to go? Do we really want to go into this?
Well, people are asking me to talk about it. I mean,
Yeah, but you know,
all I know. Look, can we just put up the T-shirt? Can we just look?
Yeah, the
that was
T-shirt
great.
is
And I'd like to give whoever made this T-shirt credit.
They got into a little argument.
I didn't get into any argument.
No,
I didn't argue with anyone.
Neil got yelled at by John Ledger on Twitter.
Like incoherently, maniacally yelled at.
And
this is great. And then he deleted all the tweets.
Oh,
The CEO of T-Mobile deleted angrily,
We're going
incoherently tweeted at me.
We're doing this.
That we're no good. The Verge is bad. That you should read Ina Fried.
Recode. He was like, switch to Recode.
Move to Recode.
It was really weird. Like, I don't know.
But then he deleted it all. And
Literally
all I did was tweet him a screenshot, and I was like, if you're gonna throw shade at me,
What's
just
weird-
know that it's still here.
What's weird about John Ledger being mad at The Verge for some reason is that
we're on his side.
I don't know. I feel like the last time I talked about him, I was like, yeah, I'm thinking about switching to T-Mobile because I like what they're doing. But I guess he didn't. That fell on deaf ears. Yeah. I do think it's insane and psychotic that they put out this fake press release with fake quotes from Ralph De La Vega in it.
Yeah,
it's nuts and not nuts like whoa, they're really sticking it to the man, but nuts like this doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. Like the thing about T-Mobile is their ideas are actually pretty good, and I sort of respect them for what they're trying to do. Yeah. And John Ledger doesn't have to. Stab somebody in the eye every time he talks to get his point across. Yeah, I feel like it's enough already with the you swear and you're wearing t-shirts and you're a badass. You pulled up on your motorcycle and ripped off your leather jacket and you've got a bright pink T-Mobile t-shirt and then you put your Batman hood on.
He put up this ad everywhere. This is what it looks like when huge corporations wetting their pants.
Yeah, I don't think that's what it looks like. What it would look like is that there'd be.
It looks like a huge corporation is competing with you.
First off, the corporation would have to be wearing.
Look, I'm happy that they're scaring the shit out of AT&T. My entire career is built on yelling at AT&T.
I like the idea of a corporation wearing itself if you think of it as one of their corporate buildings wearing a huge pair of pants with a wet spot in the front of it.
Incredible. Picture the
T-Mobile should drape the front of an AT&T building with huge slacks.
Yes.
With a wet spot. And that's what it looks like when a corporation is wetting itself.
We don't talk about this a lot, and we only have a few minutes left because we have to be done.
Oh, yeah.
Spot on time today. But I will say that I am firmly convinced that he knew what he was doing. He was playing character for a long time. And now he's become the character. Yeah, it's like
when you tell a lie for long enough, you start to believe it yourself.
Yeah.
You know where I heard that? An episode of Mr. Belvedere about the older son of Mr. Belvedere discovering
stuck with you about
the older son of Mr. Belvedere discovering that his parents. His mother was pregnant with him before they were married, and they'd been lying to him about it the whole time because they didn't want him to feel like he was, conceived out of wedlock. And his dad sits him down towards the end of the episode. It's son, when you tell a lie enough, you start to believe it yourself. And I was like, whoa, that is some deep shit.
The next time,
that is some deep Mr. Belvedere wisdom.
Jordan, can I just
I was 8 when I saw it.
The next time we do a John Ledger supercut, we end with this scene from Mr. Belvedere.
Can anybody find that episode? It was a very special Mr. Belvedere.
Oh, God.
By the way, most of the people watching this probably don't know what Mr. Belvedere is. Check it out. Check into it. I think you're really going to enjoy it.
I actually got a lot of tweets when I wrote the Pebble review, and I was like, this reminds me of the Palm, and I tweeted it. I got a lot of tweets from people who were like, we don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yes.
And that makes me very sad.
Listen, millennials, okay? We're old. We're old people.
Goddamn
We're
kids.
old. We're basically. We're
Vergecast in 10 years is just going to be so crotchety.
It's gonna be like a bunch of Andy Rooney's. It's gonna be a bunch of
Get
Andy
off
Rooney's.
my robot lawn.
That doesn't make any sense.
doesn't
Why
make
would the
any
lawn be a robot?
Why wouldn't it be a robot?
Yeah, I was going to say. If I'm going to have a lawn, I want it to be made out
Embrace
of robots.
possibility.
The robotic lawn is mowed by a robotic lawnmower. I don't know.
All right, one last
That's
thing.
definitely the end of the
One
Vergecast.
last thing.
One of our worst.
Yeah, it was,
No, it was
all
okay.
right.
It was okay.
We didn't talk about Nintendo making phone apps.
Oh, Nintendo.
Yeah. So
I
they
mean,
had
there's not
bad
much as-
earnings.
It-
They
it-
said they're
they're
going to
like-
make a non-wearable health device.
Which is insane.
And
Like,
they-
no, it's okay.
It's going to be a new scale, an awesome scale.
Yeah, it's smart, but the idea that a non-wearable health device that isn't really a video game is going to save or help Nintendo in any
Maybe
way.
it's a mirror.
Like,
You don't know.
they
Maybe it's
said,
a mirror that you put in your
"Look, man, we're
bathroom
gonna
and it
sell this
tells you
thing,
like
and
whether
we're
you're
gonna start
fat or
making
not.
profits again by 2015 because we're doing this."
Right.
And it's like, okay.
So Iwata said Nintendo will use smart devices to make connections with customers, but he ruled out releasing existing games on those platforms, believing the company is unable to show its strength as an integrated hardware-software business elsewhere, which is wrong.
Well, but
That's wrong.
but also it just
Service apps will be released this year. The company will seek to use smart devices for services such as selling games that have been previously confined to game consoles. Such devices are likely to provide better experiences. Iwata recognizes such devices are likely to provide better experiences than Nintendo's own hardware for certain features unrelated to games. And it's like, have you ever?
What does that mean?
No,
like
so
you
you
get to
held
like
the DS
manage
in your
your
hand?
you get to
Hang
like
on.
manage your
Just
like
because
backpack in a
Nintendo
game.
made shitty consoles doesn't mean that it's the right strategy to put them on phones. Like they made a bad console this generation.
I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to do the thing Sony did with the PlayStation phone and the phone stuff.
That was a great success.
They're not trying to
No,
do
but
that.
they're not doing that because they don't
No,
want to
but
release their
because
games.
They're not putting their games on phones. They're like toying with things that are in the periphery of doing that, but they're not going to straight do it. Right? That's what this is about.
Right.
And like read, Sam
I guess
Byford's reporting.
I'm thinking more
It's not a great
Sony.
idea for them.
I'm thinking more of like smart glass.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what they're doing.
Kind of like that.
Only
Yeah,
you can
that
buy
makes more
stuff.
sense.
Yeah, but
I mean, I've used smart glass exactly once. Smart glass when you play.
you're talking about the Xbox thing.
Yeah, I mean,
I've used
with
it.
the game.
I
use
used it
all
one
the time
time with
for
the game,
stuff.
and it worked terribly, and it was not. It wasn't a great
So
addition.
the one place that's awesome is on Xbox One. If you play Madden, you can like do all kinds of stuff with smart glass.
Okay.
That's neat.
I mean, that sounds cool, but like
So other than
that's
EA,
not
name a company
that's
as
not a
influential and
market.
important as Nintendo that only makes phone games.
Yeah, no, I mean the argument is, and I've heard it from everywhere. I've heard from Microsoft. Like, why isn't Office on iPhone? And they're like, well, no, there's no big company that makes real money selling software on mobile.
Right.
Okay, well that's
No, the scale doesn't. The scale
Right,
doesn't
and so
work.
I assume Nintendo's making the same argument, but
I mean,
they're Nintendo. If they put Mario on the iPhone and they sold it for $15 instead of $3, they would make the money.
I mean, I think the problem is
if
that
they did it for 15 or 20 or whatever, like that could be interesting.
Yeah,
But
they're Nintendo.
they're Nintendo. They don't. They're like culturally, they fundamentally don't believe that that's the right thing for them to do.
I think there's also this
And,
issue.
I think there's
also
a
this issue
legitimacy
that like
to
their hook was motion gaming.
well, and
and-
that was so easily borrowed.
No, but I mean, now that the Kinect exists, I feel like that's taken a lot of that fire and excitement. I think like when kids are like, "Oh my god, mom and dad, we want to like get a game system that does this like crazy motion stuff." The Kinect is the thing that they look at. It's not.
Yeah.
They're not thinking about this
No, I mean, I
weird
think
huge controller. Like I played
Every
the
time
Wii
I
U.
use the Wii U, I'm like, why am I using this?
I played one game on the Wii U,
The zombie game.
Zombie U,
Yeah.
and it was really fun. I never finished it. Because it was like after a while, I was like, okay, like it's cool. Like I get all this stuff; it's really exciting. But I kind of like my interest waned, and then there was not another game. There wasn't another game where I was like, this seems really cool. And I get that there are things you could do. I think their biggest problem is they didn't build. They needed to do two things. They needed to build some awesome new way to interact with your games, which they kind of did, sort of. It's like a pretty crappy experience in a way because it's like capacitive and all this stuff. But then they didn't build a console that's competitive.
Right.
They didn't build an Xbox One. They didn't build
no.
like a hub for your entertainment. And unfortunately for them, things have moved on.
Do you have your TV plugged in your Xbox? It's a question.
No,
I ask
I don't because
you?
there's several reasons.
I
have
have
one.
not bought an Xbox One.
I don't
I'm
know.
gonna buy
if
the
it's-
white one.
I
Did
don't
you
have
see the
plugged
white
in
one?
because I don't have plugged in. Yeah, it looks
Yeah,
cool.
the white one looks like a crappy Xbox One.
Yeah,
It looks like a Stormtrooper.
I think the black one looks better, but I don't have it plugged in because the sound, it's not passing through
No, I
sound.
keep asking everybody if they have the TV plugged in the Xbox One. And
I already have enough sound problems.
Most people
I don't
haven't
need to
done it, as
add
far as I
one
can
by
tell.
like adding the Xbox.
I mean, most people I've talked to.
The interface isn't that much more useful than like Time Warner's refreshed interface. It's only slightly more useful.
The weakest praise of all time.
No, but I'm just saying.
I mean, that's like, there you go.
I'm saying like,
that's like the TV
It's the lesser
market.
of the evils, but it's not like such a revolutionary way to interact with my TV that I'm like, oh my God, I have to use this all the time.
Yeah.
And that I think includes the Vergecast for this week.
Yeah, we're done. We got to get out of here.
We'll be back next week. If you want to get in touch with us, you can email us, vergecast@theverge.com. You can find us on Twitter. The Verge is @Verge. Oh, I'm sorry. You can leave a comment in the post when it goes up. You can start a forum topic.
You can yell at me. You can
like.
tell me how much you think Android patents are worth.
You can
That's
yell
always
at
fun for me.
Nilay.
That's
Well,
the
you can
best.
find us on Twitter. The Verge is @Verge. I'm Joshua Topolsky. Nilay is Reckless. Dieter is Backlon. Backlon. There's a perfectly great reason for that.
Yeah.
I'm like a broken record. I can't do the same things I always do. It's really annoying. And that's it.
That's it. That's all we got.
We're going to be back next week.
Yeah. It's going to get
Check
weirder
out,
and
by the way,
weirder.
if you haven't seen it, check out the latest 90 Seconds on The Verge. Which
it's amazing.
Did it air today or yesterday?
Yesterday.
Featuring Bryce Slade, who's one of our hot new performers.
Nobody on YouTube understands
that we really like. And in fact, after I sign off, I'd love it if we could just run 90 seconds.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are set up for that in the booth, but you find a way to make it happen. But anyhow, that's the Vergecast this week. We'll be back next week.
John was more than ready.
And as always,
It's like, yes.
as always, frankly, look, I'm going to just say it. You know, what we hope will happen with you and your family is not going to be the outcome. The outcome is far worse. And, it sucks, but that's the way it is.